title, and the bottom floor is their house. So we kept thinking, you know how God is. He does on things on multiple. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if we built a church on the second floor? So on the second floor, there's a facility with an office and a church that'll seat 250. On the third floor, they use it for a feeder program that feeds 250 children in the midst, and that is right in the center of a Hindu neighborhood that God is getting all the glory for because you're willing to do something. That's the one that Brother Dick, we was trying to raise money to build this building. We were still in that little fellowship hall, and Dick was counting the money. Now, he tells this publicly, a testimony, and he said, this guy, he said, the pastor's gone crazy. He said, we need money to build our own building. And he's back there grumbling as he's counting the money. He's my head guy. He helped me do everything. And he said he heard the voice of God. He said, I'm grumbling, carrying on. Why is he raising money for somebody else when we need it so bad? And he said the voice of God spoke to him. He said, because that's the seed that's going to pay your building off down there when it's built. And this building, in the eyes of God, is paid off. You understand? We planted the seed because the first night we took up a $20,000 offering in a little old group of people right up there, and God honored it. So as far as I'm concerned, the building paid off. Now, if he speaks to one of y'all to tell you to write a check for $1 million, that'd finish us up. So don't delay it if he tells you to do it. So, I mean, that manifests what we're believing for in the spirit realm. You understand what I'm saying? And so, you've done a lot. We've got a church in over by Hyderabad. We hadn't built the building yet, but we're going to. And then all these that Bishop Jacob's doing, he wanted us to come and speak, but I'm doing most of my speaking by the internet. So I want you to understand. Now, have I missed anything? I mean, they're still counting. How many wells we got? We got one well working on number 2. How much is that? Is that 1,000? Okay. Oh, good. We might have 2 wells, guys. Well, when Elisha was willing to mess with Elijah for 20 years, he received the double portion. And I've run into all kinds of young people that want the double portion without serving their leader for 20 years. Men and women that normally are greatly and over the top blessed have been consistent year after year, day after day, with the attitude that they're going to serve God through serving leaders and their people. So remember, if you want the double portion, put the time in with God to serve one another. God is so faithful. You'll never be left short. And you know, there's so many things to look at today and take in consideration. And I just want to make the statement that I don't know if we stop often enough to remember the men and women that give their life to keep our nation free. You know, people gripe and they say, well, why do we go to Iraq and why do we go to Afghanistan? Because we want to try to keep them from coming to your house. Why did we go to Korea? Why did we go? I was just thinking about Hawaii, and we've been there a few times, and about, you know, the bombing that took place, that thousands of our men and women got killed, and how we was kind of in a state of neutrality then, that we wasn't going to mess with nobody, nobody's going to mess with us. Well, we found out right quick that doesn't work. And a lot of people gave their life in World War II to bring us back, because we had an enemy that wasn't any more furious or any more aggressive than the enemy we're facing today. They're just doing it in a different way. And so we need to stand up and be counted as men and women of God and Americans. We need to honor those that's willing to give their life to keep our homes free. We need to look at the overall big picture a little bit bigger than maybe what some of us have in the past. Yeah, it costs money. It costs lives. But we're still standing as the only true free nation in the world. You say, why do you say that? Well, I talk about, and I visit my brother-in-laws, 6 of them in England, and a sister-in-law and all their families. And the hate law was passed there a few years ago. And now Obama passed the thought law, the same law. They're not a free nation anymore because they can't even fly their flag in their front lawn because they're afraid. The government says you may offend the Muslims. So don't fly the flag in your front lawn. We had an occasion, I believe it was in Georgia, Alabama, that they wouldn't fly the American flag for a fallen soldier at his parade. Some of the companies along there said, we can't fly the American flag. We might offend someone. Let's start offending more. Okay, we got 2 1/4 whales. And this week, the bishop in India will be contacted, and the process will start as early as Tuesday of this week. And I'm excited about that. So $2,349 came in. I want to thank you for responding like that. God will honor it, and He'll bless you for it in a great way. So we begin to think about freedom and the cost of freedom. And I'm going to get to Jesus, who is the ultimate person that brought ultimate freedom. But we need to look a little bit about where we live first. We need to think about the young men and women that their children won't have their daddies at home or their mamas because they gave the ultimate price. I think sometimes we take things just too complacent. We don't put a focus on things that are real, that's really meaningful. And I believe that as a nation, that the church should stand up and begin to pray and sell out to God like never before, and begin to understand that our nation sets the example all over the world, and that we need to come back and make sure the example we're setting is right, and quit apologizing to rogue nations and those that want to destroy and kill us, and tell our president and our leaders, stop. Don't do it again. Come back to our godly principles and let us stand strong and tall as godly men and women, and take the stand that we need to stand strong on every front. And what happens, see, when we begin to think about what God's given us. We begin, see, in Galatians 3, it said Jesus became the curse of the law. What was the curse of the law? It was spiritual death. It was poverty. And it was sickness. He said, I will redeem you from that. If you don't believe me, read Deuteronomy 28. It will tell you about the curse of the law. And Jesus became the curse so the blessing of Abraham might come on you. What's the blessing? He'll bless you coming in. He'll bless you going out. He'll bless you in your home. He'll bless you on your job. He'll bless you in your nation if you don't give it away. Oh, I want to settle down. Tell my wife's frowning. She's got a Catholic background. Let me say this. And I'm speaking under the oracles and the anointing of the living God. If our generation of baby boomers don't wake up, that understand that God's the one that gave us the wisdom and the ability to gain wealth. And it wasn't just to spend on ourselves, but it was to establish a gospel that would bring freedom and deliverance for all men and all women. We need to understand we're the generation He's called us to usher in the return of the Lord.